Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Gio, and today we're going to talk about a few cartoons I watched growing up and how they're being ruined today.
The truth.
Alright, so before we get into this video, there may be a few viewers watching this at the moment who don't even know what the old cartoons were like. Considering I don't know how old you guys are watching this, but if you were like me and you grew up in like the early 2000s, you'll probably get the nostalgia. But I guess let's get into it. So pretty much the shows I'm going to be talking about today are like shows that I used to watch growing up. Like for example, SpongeBob, The Fairly Odd Parents, We Bare Bears, I guess you could say. I'd watched a bit of Scooby-Doo. Pretty much just like the traditional shows that are on Nickelodeon Cartoon Network. Like also shows like The Amazing World of Gumball and Regular Show. But if you look today, a lot of these shows or a lot of the shows that these kids today watch that were born in like the 2010s, they don't realize it, but in my opinion, they're so much worse than what they used to be growing up. Like, the cartoons used to be so much better. Like, for example, I'll show a picture of the original Scooby-Doo right here, and now I'll show a picture of the new Scooby-Doo now. And I just want you to take a look at the difference and how much it's being trashed. And I also did bring up how there was a movie for Scooby-Doo called Scoob, and in one of my previous videos talking about the Emoji Movie, I talked about how that movie was really bad, and so I guess that's another way you could say it was ruined. Luckily, a few shows just ended and haven't been ruined, and I don't know if SpongeBob has been ruined or not, considering I haven't watched it in a while, since I don't watch cartoons anymore. But I guess other than that, there's the sad truth that one of my favorite shows growing up, We Bare Bears, is ending. There's also the fact that I guess you could say some shows like Dinosaur Train, which was one of the ones that I watched when I was really young, as well as shows like Wild Kratts, and I'm sure some of you aren't going to even know what some of these are, but yes, shows like Wild Kratts and stuff, I don't know if those ended, but I feel like for some of them, they just ended, and for some of them, they decided to make spin-offs of it, and what I'm mostly talking about is the spin-offs. Like, other than that, I would also say that the original works that they've created, like the new original shows that little kids watch and stuff, are very, very bad. Or, on Nickelodeon, I used to watch those shows that involved, like, they were real-life people, but they were still acting. It was kind of like a sitcom, I guess you could say. But now you look at the stuff they have today, like, one of the shows that I watched very mildly was a show called Henry Danger, and hopefully you know what that is, but it was about like this kid who was a superhero, and I mean I stopped watching that around like the age of 10, but other than that there was also the fact that they ended that and then created the sequel that I've seen online called Danger Force, where they have like 5 of them, and from what I've heard it's not good. So I mean, me personally, I don't know if I really have the mental capacity to go and watch an episode of that right now, so I'm not going to. But you can also see, like, when you go to, like, Disney Channel, for example, there used to be stuff like The Sweet Life on Deck and The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and stuff like, I guess, Wizards of Waverly Place. I didn't really watch that one, but you know what I mean. And shows like that, and how they used to be so good, but then they come out with these other wizard shows and stuff like that that make absolutely no sense and are in no way related to anything involving the last, I guess, 5 years of movies they've made, considering movies and TV shows from that long had quality. I'm gonna say it right now, I think it had quality. Either that or the kids started to get dumber and dumber, so they had to make dumber shows. Like, I'm not even lying, like, I even tried watching Fairly Odd Parents a few years ago, and I had already stopped watching it a lot by then, but then I go back and I see how there's like all these new characters and like this, I guess where they had a kid or something like that. Cosmo and Wanda had a kid, and it confuses me why they would do that, 'cause it just added nothing to the story. And then you've got like shows like, I'm gonna say it right now, one of the best shows that I ever saw was a show called Phineas and Ferb. And you have to know what Phineas and Ferb is. No matter what age you are, you have to know what Phineas and Ferb is. And yes, it ended, but then they decided to try to make the sequel, which I think is called like Murphy's Law or something. And it hurt inside to watch that because it's not as good as it used to be. And I'm also gonna say a lot of the shows that I watched growing up ended, considering they've been going on for many years. And I think that it's good to say like that. Like, a lot of my favorite shows ended, and I don't think they deserve sequels, considering when you add a sequel, it's usually not as good. Like, I'm gonna say a few of my favorite shows that ended were like We Bare Bears on Cartoon Network, Gravity Falls, which was on Disney XD. Other than that, I guess you could say SpongeBob. I've been hearing people say it ended, but I'm not sure if it's ended. If anybody still watches it, you can confirm that. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought, but another one of my favorite shows that ended, yes, was Phineas and Ferb. I don't know if Fairly Odd Parents ended, but I just remember there were times where I would wake up on like, I don't know, like, I wake up on like a Saturday morning and then I'd be watching episodes of that. So again, like I said, I know that I have some viewers on my channel that are younger, so they probably don't even remember it. But I'm just talking about nostalgia, and I'm talking about like kids. If you were born in like the early 2000s, you know what I'm talking about. Pretty much. Again, like I said, I think it's good that some of these shows ended, and some of them had some of the greatest endings. Like, I remember when Gravity Falls ended, I remember I was hyped up for the last few episodes, because for a long time, Gravity Falls was one of my favorite shows. So, pretty much, I watched it. I remember hyping up because the finale was like a 3-part episode, and there was also Phineas and Ferb, which basically ended where they were all grown up. Now I remember that, but now I don't exactly know the name of like all the new shows that there are, but all I know is that some of them are atrocious, and when I say bad, I mean bad. Like, you take a kid's show like growing up, it was Dinosaur Train or Wild Kratts that I watched when I was really young, and then you replace it with something like Bubble Guppies. The freaking Bubble Guppies. It's just a bunch of like mermaids, and then they're singing songs for some reason, and I remember watching that, and it just hurt. And while I'm here, I'm also going to talk about 2 of my other shows that I used to watch when I was like really, really young. I never was more of a Dora kind of person. I never really liked Dora. But I did watch stuff like Team Umizoomi. If you know what that is, I hope you know what that is, considering that was like one of the shows I watched when I was really young. And then you've also got stuff like Wonder Pets. And if you don't know what those are, it was pretty much where one of them was these 3 people that have to solve puzzles, and then Wonder Pets was like, I think a turtle, a chicken, and a hamster that had to go and solve problems. So yeah, again, hopefully you're a viewer and you understand that reference. I'll pretty much show photos for every single show, considering I'll be editing in after this voiceover. And I guess from there, I'll end it. And if you are younger and this is your first time hearing about it, and pretty much you hear me talk about the shows and how I think the other ones are better, again, your opinion's same. Your opinion always matters. So if you have a different one, that's fine. And other than that, if you've never even heard of these shows, I would recommend you go and check them out. Like, go check out The Amazing World of Gumball. Go check out like SpongeBob. You have to know SpongeBob because that thing's like huge. And there's also shows like Gravity Falls, again, I said, which is probably one of my favorites of all time, Phineas and Ferb. Go watch that. So, I mean, Phineas and Ferb is pretty much a show you can watch any age. But, I guess other than that, I'm going to end it. So, please consider subscribing, maybe hitting that like button, leaving a comment. And, as always, stay awesome, stay quarantined. See you guys later.